Yeah, I feel free. Doesn't this look? This look.
Getting all the demons out of my voice.
Oh, wow, that was a big wave.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's working.
Yeah. I think it's the biggest my voice has ever gotten.
Yeah, dude. And you know, you can see, yours is small and mine is big. I'm like Thor, or you're like Thor in Thor Ragnarok, and I'm Hulk. It's like, I'm big flame, you are like little flame. And it's like, no, we're both like flames. So, just keep your eye on that too, because if you see yours is small, you can be like, oh, okay, now I'll be louder. That's what I'm doing the whole time. I'm always just like,
you're saying I should speak up a little
bit. Yeah. Because in the first two, I sound louder.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe I sound fine and you're just too loud.
No. Because what I want to be able to do is cut out the background. And so we have to rise above it.
Above.
So if you're down
rise
here,
above,
then you're in with the background sounds. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to talk like this. Is this too quiet still? Is this kind of still loud? Because this is just my voice. This is me pushing my voice to go higher a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean that would be great. And I also understand that your throat's not great, so
yeah.
I also get that. But just
we can even establish at the beginning of our third episode of our podcast that we're doing right now that my voice kind of hurts, and so I'm still gonna do the smoke break that we usually do, but I'm probably gonna try to take it easy on the voice. Yeah. So we kind of wanted to talk about Spider-Man today, right?
Oh yeah. Welcome to Hot Tokes,
a
comic book, movie, and weed podcast, and pop culture in general, all that good stuff.
Nerd culture and weed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we want to talk about Spider-Man. He's been in the news lately. There's been some stuff going on between Sony and Disney that has kicked him out of the MCU. He also had just a recent movie that we saw we'd love to talk about. And Ian, you and I both grew up. I think Spider-Man is both of our favorite superheroes, if I'm not mistaken.
Not only is he my favorite superhero, but he was the only person that I would actually say is my actual hero I would idolize as a kid. I mean, he was a nerd, nerds identified with him.
Yeah, and he always has a strong moral compass, and he's always getting shat upon, so it's hard not to feel for him. He's always striving to do his best, but there's just so much going on that he's always getting kicked while he's down. He can never make it. He can never have a good life because of all of his commitments to helping other people, and you just constantly feel for the guy, which is part of why you have to love Spider-Man.
Yeah, I grew up on that 90s cartoon that would air on Fox.
That's probably the Spider-Man cartoon and also the X-Men cartoon of the same era were definitely what got me into comics in general. That's why I'm a Marvel fan now more than DC. It was specifically those shows.
I really liked the Spider-Man cartoon as a kid, and I also really enjoyed the comics themselves. I read quite a few of them. I had some of the issues where he ran to the Jackal, the infamous Clone Saga of Spider-Man.
Oh, of course, yeah. See, when I was growing up, I didn't read as many comics. I wasn't reading the source material, but I was collecting the trading cards. I was watching the shows. I was playing the games. I had a PS1, so I had Spider-Man 1 and 2. I had some X-Men stuff as well, but we'll probably talk about that in another podcast. But the Spider-Man 1 and 2 on PS1 were so much fun for me growing up. I haven't revisited them since. They're probably a little more clunky, but I've played most of the Spider-Man games at this point. Shattered Dimensions and Web of Shadows on 360. Of course, the Xbox, I played the Ultimate Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2. Swinging around is always super fun. And also the PS4 one, I need to get back to. I've started. You've played the whole thing, minus the DLC, I think, right?
Yeah. I platinumed the game like the week it came out. I played that game a ton. I also played Spider-Man 2 on GameCube a ton. I played that game several times over.
Yeah, I think the big ones for me were the 2 on PS1 and then the 2 on 360, Web of Shadows and Shattered Dimensions. There was another one, Edge of Time, which I didn't play, but it felt like it was probably... Like, Edge of Time had 2 characters, and Shattered Dimensions had 4, like, different Spider-Man, so it just felt like I might as well just play Shattered Dimensions.
Yeah, so in case if anybody's been living under a rock past couple days, but I think the internet's blown this up a lot, Disney tried to alter the deal to Sony, bumping their 5% cut from the Spider-Man merchandising and revenues from the movies up to 50%, and Sony backed out of the deal, and so now we're not going to get Spider-Man in these new Avenger movies.
Yeah, Disney's big, bully, greedy corporation. As we know, they own a whole lot of the entertainment industry. But, yeah, it seems like a lot of people are saying maybe it's a power play. They're trying to make Sony look bad. There was the... people were trying to boycott Sony over this because they thought they were the ones who were holding up the negotiation. But maybe it's just Disney trying to make Sony look bad, make it look like they were the ones who took Spider-Man from the MCU and ruined it for everyone.
Yeah, there was a couple articles when the thing first got announced that the whole reasoning was because of Sony wanting a darker, edgier Spider-Man for their Venom universe that they were trying to build. And honestly, like, either that was just made by some kid who didn't know what he was talking about, or it was probably someone who was paid by Disney, my guess, to like make it look bad, like you were saying. But
yeah, or just people rush to conclusions. I'm not sure, because I just saw a lot of people mad at Sony first, and then mad at Disney second. Once they were like, "Wait a minute." It stinks because Spider-Man is out of the MCU. It's pretty much confirmed. They tweeted, the guys who made the Homecoming and Far From Home, that we told the story we wanted to tell, which seemed like they were mostly just kind of covering their asses a bit because it ended on a cliffhanger. Like, Far From Home ends on a major cliffhanger. It sets up like a whole lot of intrigue for the next one based on the like post or mid-credit scene or like directly pre-credit scene. I can't remember if it was...
It was a pretty mid credit scene, I think.
Yeah. But then they're just like, no, that was the story we wanted to tell. We wanted to end it on a cliffhanger, we swear. But that being said, the MCU Spider-Man was in Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, and got his 2 solo movies.
Yeah, so that's
Homecoming and Far From Home.
Yeah, it's 2 movies with 3 pretty major appearances. Civil War, not too much, but like he did get a couple good scenes by himself.
Yeah, I mean, you got the whole bit of Tony Stark going to... Oh, Endgame, yeah. I guess he's mostly towards the end during the big fight.
Yeah, it's like passing the torch. But yeah, speaking of Far From Home and its ending and our thoughts on it, we did see that movie like about a month ago.
Yeah, whenever it was in theaters. Yeah, I think we saw it maybe opening night. Or it was early-ish. I can't remember.
It was a little early, yeah.
But yeah, super good. Jake Gyllenhaal was incredible. I think we can probably just...
Yeah, if
you
haven't seen it
out yet on like home release,
it's probably going to be out soon. And if you guys haven't watched it, pause it now and go try to see it somehow.
Well, I'll try to remember to put it in when I am looking at this later, I'll put in a time code so you can skip ahead to the smoke break, and then we'll be on to a different topic.
Yeah, but the movie was really good.
So spoilers.
Yeah. It kind of left off directly after the events of Endgame, but also picked up a little bit on the events after Homecoming, where Peter's still hanging out with his friend Ned, who I guess Peter and Ned and MJ conveniently all got snapped and are now part of the blip.
Yeah.
Which is what they call all the people that missed those 5 years when they
got
snapped.
yeeted by Thanos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Turned to dust for 5 years, and they came back the same age while everybody else aged. So And Flash as well. He's still there.
One of the teachers probably, maybe, who knows. 5 years doesn't really make much of difference on an adult, but...
But there was a character that his whole thing was that he did age the 5 years, and he was this like little weenie, but now he's like
this hunk
attractive like guy, and so there's a little bit of play with that, which is fun. And it was fun to just see some more effects of that major event, like unfold in the world. Like,
it did a good
people
job.
disappeared for 5 years, and so people moved on. They married different people. Like people sold houses and like all sorts of shit. It's fun to explore.
Yeah, it did a good job at answering some of the questions that I had of Endgame, when spoilers for that movie, when everyone did get snapped back. So I was really happy to see a lot of those answers being what happens when they are in a plane and then they get snapped back. Do they get put back from the plane, or are they in the middle of the air?
Yeah, I think there were some tweets where people were asking that kind of thing, and they said, well, he's called Smart Hulk, was basically the answer. So it's like, they're fine, was the idea. Like, however it works out, they're okay.
Yeah, they
saved everyone.
They showed a marching man, and they weren't like popping into people.
But, they didn't pop into people, but they did just pop into where they were, so it's like, it seems like somebody could have been in the middle of this road, or, it seems like there should have been some accidents there, but maybe the people who would have been in danger were just shifted over slightly or whatever. They were all fine.
It's Disney.
They were all fine.
It's Disney universe logic.
Yeah.
Disney's not going to make a movie where the physics of the world are people can have a chance to get exploded.
So getting back to Far From Home, Spider-Man still kind of immature in a lot of ways, which is understandable. Like, he's still young, but part of the reason I'm not totally upset that he's out of the MCU is maybe we'll get to see a more mature Spider-Man. Like, he is very high school. He makes very high school level decisions. He's still emotionally immature in a lot of ways, and it kind of felt like he's had two coming of age movies. Both Far From Home and Homecoming were kind of him coming of age, but then it didn't really take the first time where he just had a lot of age to come of.
I didn't really see it that way. I just saw it as Spider-Man's the vessel of the audience, and if your target audience is for people his age, you do make lots of mistakes, and there are different mistakes he makes. He learns different lessons in each movie. The first movie, it's more about him trying to accept his responsibilities, and the second one, I guess it also that no. Yeah, you're right.
He hands over a weapon of mass destruction to, I get it's to another superhero or so he sees, but it's so hard to watch when he's just this thing from Tony Stark left to me that controls all these drones. It can, he immediately almost kills his classmates and then also just hands it off to someone else. And it makes sense in the movie, but when you kind of think about it isolated from that, it's a little upsetting. So there were some things like that I wanted him to be a little more mature, but I really, really loved the movie. It was visually awesome. The Mysterio stuff was great. The whole Mysterio segment was so comic booky.
Yeah, and the one thing I really liked about these movies is they do a really good job at making the major villains look kind of like the part, but also they have a characteristic or personality in their movie that matches their character. So in Homecoming, the Vulture, besides just being a guy who flies around like a bird, he picks and scavenges different tech.
Yeah, he's a junker.
Yeah. And in this one, Mysterio, his name comes from Italian of mystery, which I'm assuming is actual Italian for mystery, and they just make up for the movie.
Sounds like it would be.
And yeah, so he's mysterious. He's got a mystery behind him, and his whole thing is illusions, and not only is his effects illusions, but his whole name and alias is just one giant illusion.
And he's kind of the director / tech director of a theatrical production in a way, which I really enjoyed when they were kind of workshopping the Mysterio stuff in their little like warehouse or whatever it was, but it kind of looked like somebody was on their little control board, which is very like theater, somebody running the light board, running the sound board, and saying, ooh, let's run again, but like a little faster, ooh, tweak this, and it's
someone
kind
working
of a
on the costume.
Yeah, there was a costume lady like steaming the thing.
Yeah, guys.
So it was like really, like I really enjoyed that as somebody who works in theater. That I just really enjoyed that element. Getting to see that happening was just brought a fun aspect to Mysterio that he didn't really have before, because he has this whole team of people, all these disaffected Stark employees that have a grudge against Tony Stark for being like a dick.
And that can actually segue good into the one main problem I had with the movie, which was that very long exposition scene. It didn't need to be as long as it was. They could have just showed the Tony Stark built this in a cave, dude.
Oh, when he's kind of congratulating everyone.
On forever.
Yeah, I didn't feel that as much, just because I thought it was kind of cute. But it's like, you were in Iron Man 1, remember, and you were this. But I get that exposition can be tiresome. Yeah, but yeah. I didn't feel that myself, but I can understand why you see that.
But yeah, it's unfortunate that we are not going to get a third Spider-Man Tom Holland movie.
I was looking forward to the return of J. Jonah Jameson.
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons. He's very Alex Jonesian in that last scene.
Yeah, it's very
really fun. But I'm kind of hoping if there's a new incarnation of Spider-Man, maybe they'll bring him back again for that, because he reprised his role from one Spider-Man franchise to another.
Yeah,
so it can happen again. Like he is that character. Like he's perfect for that role, and it's just too blatant.
Yeah. I was hoping that the next one was going to be Spider-Man homeschooled, because he'd be stuck at home because the paparazzi or whatever. But now it's named as Spider-Man homeless.
Spider-Man homeless.
Yeah.
Maybe Spider-Man homeboy. He returns to his roots and he's really cool. Maybe that'll be Miles Morales' movie.
Spider-Man hometown.
A very Queens-centric story.
Yeah, just like...
There's a villain on the subway.
Well, it could be... they could do the Lizard again.
They could do the Lizard. Well, yeah.
Could have.
Yeah.
Past tense.
What I want, kind of going back to the whole dispute, is them to have shared custody. I want Sony to make a Spider-Man movie. I want...
On the weekends?
Yeah, exactly. I want Sony to get Spider-Man for a little, to make Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire and that whole cast, and then give it back to Marvel to do a movie, and then they just trade back and forth, and they keep the two Spider-Man universes going, or however many they want, because Into the Spider-Verse exists, so there's a multiverse of Spider-Man, so they could just keep all, like, bring Andrew Garfield back. I don't care. Just do them all. I'm ready.
A lot of people...
like a Spider-Man universe or multiverse, yeah.
A lot of people in the subreddits I follow, they really want a live action Into the Spider-Verse movie and just have Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and like whoever our new Spider-Man's gonna be.
Yeah.
Like just have like every single Spider-Man show up in the movie. That would be amazing. I was really hoping that that's what they were gonna do in Far From Home, because Mysterio says that he comes from another dimension. Another universe, and I when the movie was actually fooling me a bit, and I thought that for a second, maybe he is like an actual hero in this movie.
Yeah, well, the thing that I thought was maybe a tell that it was not true was that he says this is Earth 616, but Earth 616 is the comic book universe. Yeah. So the movie universe is not Earth 616. So it's like it was either written by somebody who I don't know. Maybe they didn't really get it, or maybe that was the tell that he was lying. But it was just weird that he would use 616 when that's specifically
it's Earth 9,999 or something like that, the MCU one.
Oh sure, I knew that at one point, but I can't remember. But yeah, that was when my little nerdy switch went off, and I was like, oh no, it's not. It's the comic book universe. He's lying, and also he's Mysterio. We know he's a villain, and they play it really well, and you want him to not be. And for a lot of newcomers, maybe they got fooled, but it's Mysterio. He's the bad guy, and he's lying the whole time. There's no and you said you were maybe buying into a little. I knew in my heart of hearts.
I was only fooled for maybe 10 or 15 minutes of the movie. And then I can't remember exactly what part because it's been a little while since I've seen it. But it was when he says something to Spider-Man where it's like, all right, well, this movie's about 45 minutes in. We still haven't gotten a real villain yet. So he probably is just actually the villain.
They did have a great uncle, nephew, but also almost older brother, younger brother dynamic in a way.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to reminisce Tony Stark. He was that was the whole thing.
Yeah, well, I guess kind of a father figure, but he was a little too cool to be a father figure. He felt maybe more like the uncle or something like that, where he was kind of the cool mentor. But when he comes up to the roof when Spider-Man just got chewed out by Nick Fury, who maybe isn't actually Nick Fury, I just really loved that scene. They had a really interesting chemistry, and when they were in the bar when he was tricking him into giving him the glasses,
speaking of
nice,
when he's oh, did you just drop these glasses that are super important on the ground?
Did you just leave these nukes on the floor of a bar, dude?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? They are a weapon of mass destruction, dude. It's a fleet of smart drones, and they're all equipped with God knows what, and they can self-destruct, and he just doesn't get it. I don't understand. He just is so well. It is that he's so afraid of the responsibility. I think he's kind of just ignoring it, in that way. I was raised a white Catholic, so I know what it's like to ignore problems. So I think he was kind of just putting it out of his mind as much as possible.
So yeah, it's gonna be sad to not see Tom Holland return as Spider-Man. Yeah. I am honestly, as much as you and I discussed about our love for Spider-Man, me personally, I probably won't jump to the theaters to see a new Spider-Man. I'm a little fatigued from all these reboots of my favorite character. Kind of wish they would just stick with one. Yeah,
but I'm also happy to just see more interpretations in a way. If it looks like they do something interesting, I'm gonna keep I'm sure you will too. Keep an open mind. Yeah, but if it's just another Spider-Man, it's okay. Whatever.
If they do a Spider Noir or Ultimate Spider-Man or Spider-Man 2099, that'd be really interesting.
Do you think that they would consider recasting Tom Holland as another, maybe similarly acrobatic hero for anything?
Just have him be Night Monkey.
Yeah, have him be Night Monkey and be hey, he whips around in his monkey fibers.
Brain thought. They have him in the next movies, but because of his identity being revealed as Spider-Man, he's oh no, I'm Ben Reilly, the Night Monkey.
Yeah, they should totally try to get around it completely. Kind of imply that he's the same character, but legally do whatever you need to do to not acknowledge it in the movie or whatever.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. But also, who would if you had to cast the next Spider-Man, who would you cast?
I really enjoyed seeing a younger Spider-Man with Tom Holland, but now that I've already seen it, I would like to go back to maybe late college, more grown up Spider-Man, from the 90s cartoon, a young 20s, late 20s kind of Spider-Man.
Yeah. He was such a Ken doll though. Well, no, he was like a G.I. Joe. He was so beefy, which, it was kind of just the style of the day and whatever, but it's so not Spider-Man.
Yeah, I don't know exactly who. I'm not saying Ezra Miller because I hate Ezra Miller, but that age kind of looking dude. Yeah, but I have no idea who.
Well, I can think of some fun ones. Like, I'd love Shia LaBeouf. Daniel Craig would be funny.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe, oh god, who's Scott Pilgrim?
Michael Cera.
Michael Cera Spider-Man movie. Just as like a fun spoof kind of
just
thing.
Get Chris Evans.
Or, well, Chris Evans would be great. Or Tom Hardy. I'd love it if Tom Hardy was Venom and Spider-Man. I would pay for 2 tickets.
Now that Chris Evans is out of the MCU as well, I would love to see like a Chris Evans as Spider-Man, because then he can play both my favorite superheroes.
Yeah, but I think he's out. I think he's
Captain
just
America's
out.
his favorite, yeah.
He's probably got some superhero fatigue as well.
Maybe not. He did say he loved playing Captain America, and if he could have, he would have done it forever. But
oh, really? I heard differently, but it was also probably like third hand. So
maybe what I heard was also third hand. Who knows?
Was there any other? The sub-bosses of Far From Home are kind of villains from Spider-Man. Like, we kind of get Sandman.
We kind of get Hydra
Man. And then the lava ones, like, maybe. There was one who kind of is that
I looked
character.
it up later, and there's, like, some weird offshoot lava man in one comic.
Yeah, or Molten. Yeah. It's Molten Man.
Molten Man.
Yeah.
Sure.
Totally. And I think at the time he was like, Molten Man's like the brother of somebody, or there's some connection. But yeah, he's one of those villain of the week kind of guys.
Yeah, I think.
But I thought, on the one hand, it was like nice to see Hydra Man and Sandman, I guess. But on the other hand, we like didn't really, you know.
I feel that way with like half of the Marvel villains we get in these Marvel movies, though. Like when we got the Shocker in the last one, it's like we kind of got the Shocker, but we really didn't get the Shocker.
We didn't get the like fight with the Shocker.
We didn't get the pillow mask like.
And there was that series they did sort of recently, which is the Spectacular, or the Sinister Six. It was like Spectacular Foes of Spider-Man, whatever it was, but it had like Shocker was one of the main characters, and it's just kind of Spider-Man's like C or D list villains, and they kind of are bumbling fools in a lot of ways and get into a lot of trouble. And Shocker is kind of a fun character in that because he's just such adult and he's always getting into such shitty situations. Like he gets locked in the trunk of a car and it drives off into the water. Like he's always getting it like in these terrible situations. The Shocker in that comic series. And it is kind of fun. It is kind of in the newer age of Marvel that I'm not as into. I know a lot of like modern comics people have kind of been turned off of lately, but there's still some like fun ideas and there's some great art anyway. But Shocker, having the Shocker fight, like I wanted to see him like shoot his shocking fists at Spider-Man and have him dodge around and like stop him from doing something, or I don't know.
Yeah,
I really love Shocker personally.
The Marvel movies really suffer most of the time from really good villains, and if they have a good villain, they have a really poor sub villain usually. Like they can't ever really nail it out of the park with the villains in those movies.
Yeah, it's like Thanos was great, and I guess Loki in Avengers was at least very well acted, if anything. Like he was kind of.
Yeah, but like Thanos' goons, like the Black Order.
Thanos' goons are dumb, and like most of the Thor villains were just kind of dumb, like the robot thing. And
Jeff Goldblum was entertaining, but not really a villain in that movie.
Right.
Yeah, and the Hela wasn't that spectacular.
Yeah, Hela was kind of.
Surtur wasn't really whatever.
Much, and Surtur and the Executioner were all just kind of goofy. They're all just kind of jokes.
Oh, Scourge.
Scourge, that's the Executioner.
I've got a big heartthrob for Karl Urban. I think he's good in almost anything he's in. Lord of the Rings, The Boys, Star Trek, Dredd.
Yeah, I don't have anything against him. I just think the character was a bit of like a goof. And, they were doing kind of a jokey thing, and okay, but I wasn't a huge fan of like the tone of Thor Ragnarok in particular. We don't have to like get down that rabbit hole, but I like my sci-fi and fantasy to be a little more serious because it is like so cool, and that's why I love in Civil War, Infinity War, like the tone is very serious and like really cool stuff happens. With Thor Ragnarok, it just feels like everything's kind of a joke and like nothing really matters because it's going for comedy. Like nothing's like cool and exciting because it's all just kind of a joke. But anyway, we can.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we've kind of exhausted everything we have to say about Spider-Man. So.
Are you kidding me? Every
possible thing you could ever think about Spider-Man's already been said.
Yeah. Well, at least we covered the movie and kind of
the big news.
The big news. Maybe we'll do another one in the future, really diving into some of the other stuff if we want. Cause,
we could. I could
maybe like specifically talk about the games. We could delve into that stuff more, but.
Yeah. I definitely could talk about Spider-Man for probably another hour, but.
Yeah, I could probably talk about it for like 3 to 5. I could go on and on. Favorite gadget in Spider-Man PS4 game? Just out of curiosity.
Real quick, favorite gadget? Hands down the tripwires. The web wires.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the anti-gravity things are cool, but they're, like, late game OP, so, like, I don't really want to like those. But, like, those little tripwires, oh, man, you can do so many little sneaky stuff with it, like, hit one person and make sure the line's hitting another person so they stick to each other. It's really fun.
Yeah, I love the classic, just heavy shot.
Like the shotgun blast.
Shoot a big wad at them, a big load of sticky, gooey, white webs, and it just thuds into them, knock them off a building, knock them into a wall. There's something I love about just shooting a nice, big, gooey Kamehameha at somebody and having them, like, fly off the building. I also love how in that game, just while I'm thinking about it, nobody ever, like, falls to their death. They always, like, magically get stuck to the side of the building because you, like, totally thought ahead to put a little thing there. Or whatever.
Yeah. I do know there has been times when I've played that game where they have actually hit the floor and they didn't get back up. But it's like been like such a weird, like glitchy situation. But it did look like Spider-Man actually did off somebody. But yeah, I think
what is your favorite Spider-Man outfit, or like if it's a clone or whatever, like that counts too?
No,
like
hands down character. The free DLC of the Tobey Maguire outfit. I'll wear that every time.
But also just like in general, like Spider-Man in general, not even just that game. I mean, I guess that's a lot of the costumes.
I mean, probably still that, but also.
Because for me in the game, it's probably the Night Monkey one from the new movie. I just really love that kind of like. It looks like it could be in real life, and it's stealthy and fun. And I just like the idea of Spider-Man being kind of this like stealth agent for the like police mostly, and less of a colorful like mascot.
I've also always really liked the classic black suit, but not from the newer comics. Like when he's got like the white pads on the top of his wrists, and the white and the black really pop out. Doesn't look like it's fabric, because in the newer black suit Spider-Mans, like from World War Hulk, like post-Civil War Spider-Man, it is just fabric. It's not the symbiote. But back in the 70s, it just like really popped out. It didn't look like fabric at all, because it was supposed to be like alien fabric, but then retconned into symbiote.
I think my all-time favorite Spider-Man suit is Spider Armor. You can get like PS1. You can get in a few of the games.
The silver one,
like silver, almost looks like larger disco ball plates all over.
Yeah, they kind of jut out.
Yeah. That one always just looked badass, and like also it was great. I have a nostalgia for it because it was a special pickup you would get in those PS1 games, and you'd like look cool, and you'd have extra armor, which was great. But also honorable mention to the Fantastic Bagman or Incredible Bagman is fantastic.
I don't know,
because he's Fantastic Four like suited. Anyway, cool. So time to have a friendly neighborhood smoke break.
Yeah.
Brought to you by great power and great responsibility, and probably throw some beats on for you guys.
Feel free to sit back, relax, have a snack, have a toke. We'll be back in a bit.
See you in a bit, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Kit Harington is too cute to be Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like his nose is like, he's got that like cute as a button nose, like kind of a soft round face.
Yeah.
He could be Wolverine.
And it's like his facial hair is like everything but sideburns.
Yeah, he's like a sad sheep or bear type thing. Whereas Wolverine is more of like a feral, like rage thing. Like Kit Harington doesn't have anger. He has like somber persistence. If that makes sense.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So
whenever you see him charge into battle or anything in any of the Game of Thrones episodes, he's always like, "I'm gritting my teeth and moving forward.
I'm doing this because it is the thing that has to be done." He's Thanos-y in a way, because he's like strong willpower. He sees his goal and he's trying to enact it at all costs. And he's just like, this is what has to happen for this to work. So, but he's doing something that's like actually reasonable, which is fighting the dead rather than removing half of the universe from existence. So yeah, Jon Snow is like a good Thanos.
Yeah.
Or just like a character with a lot of willpower.
A radical, somber, timid man.
Yeah. Have you been doing anything lately? Reading, playing, watching?
After binging The Boys, like we talked about a few episodes ago, I needed my fix on some sort of comic book adaptation work, and a lot of them aren't so great, on television at least. I checked out Happy, sci-fi original, 8 episodes, and I really liked it. It wasn't, I think, as groundbreaking or higher in production than The Boys. I mean, it's a sci-fi original, but what shocked me is I used to watch a lot of sci-fi originals growing up, and they were very tame. They were very PG-13. But Happy was very bloody, violent, full of foul language. The graphic material of it, like the things that happen are horrible. And
I think that's just the new world of television in a lot of ways. I mean, Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, so many gigantic cultural milestone TV shows have a lot of violence, a lot of darkness, a lot of crime, and just rough things happen to people.
Yeah, but I feel like if you like compare those two, Breaking Bad from Game of Thrones, is Game of Thrones like has nudity when Breaking Bad doesn't have as much nudity, and like
yeah, but I mean there is like a severed head on a turtle that blows up a bunch of people, and like there is a lot of violence and darkness.
Very true.
Yeah.
You saw the trailer.
To be fair,
you saw the trailer for El Camino, right? But you haven't finished Breaking Bad.
Yeah, no, I've actually like people will be maybe upset about this, but yeah, I stopped somewhere in season 3 or 4. I think we established it was probably 4, but I just kind of fell off it. I don't know. I like sci-fi, fantasy, horror, and like action, kung fu stuff. There's not a lot of like real world stuff that I get into a lot when it comes to movies and TV shows, and it was really, really good, and I probably should get back into it because I'm sure, like, I've heard so many great things that it's worth finishing, but it's just one of those things that kind of fell off of my list. I don't finish a lot of things that I start when it comes to books especially, but also shows and things like that.
Yeah.
There's so many books that I've started and
well, maybe you should
not finished.
Either finish Breaking Bad or
and games. Oh my god.
Check Happy out. I mean, wasn't bad.
Yeah. It sounds interesting and probably up my alley. I love that actor. He was in
Law and Order,
but also Wet Hot American Summer.
Right.
Which is kind of what made me love him more. Like, especially the contrast between his characters in Law and Order and Wet Hot American Summer.
And his contrast in Happy. Like.
Yeah, I'll have to check out Happy and probably finish Breaking Bad at some point, but.
Yeah, to anybody who is interested also listening, Happy's kind of like a Death Wish-like universe where like corruption is everywhere in the city. The mafia's got everybody in their pockets. Crime runs pretty rampant. And our main character, the guy from Law and Order and Wet Hot American Summer, gets encountered by this like weird flying blue unicorn cartoon character. And it's really bizarre and weird, but very violent and funny. Definitely give it a watch. It's really enjoyable. Would you
Christopher Maloney. Christopher Maloney is the actor's name that we're talking about. Christopher Maloney. What a guy. What a handsome man. Is that Aunt May? No.
No.
There's a I'm looking at IMDb, and there's just a small picture of a actress who looks like the woman who plays Aunt May in Spiderman.
There are a couple people that have been in some stuff that I noticed throughout that show, but the guy from Law and Order's Nick Sachs is this character's name in Happy. Like one of the best parts. Patton Oswalt plays Happy the Unicorn.
Oh yeah. Right, he like voices it's a cartoon. So
it's a cartoon character.
Yeah. Well, I watched the Terminator, the first one. Split it in half over 2 nights, but I hadn't seen it since I was very, very young because I didn't really remember it when I was watching it. I kind of remember the early stuff when he's interacting with those kind of like greaser like street guys where he's like, take off your clothes when he first arrives. I kind of remembered that, and I remembered him getting squished in the end by the big hydraulic press, and that's how he died. I really didn't have a lot of memory of that movie. I think I saw Terminator 2 for sure, and I think I just kind of thought I remembered 1 as well for that reason. But it was super fun to revisit. Still a good movie. It's kind of goofy how I thought that the guy who goes back in time to protect Sarah Connor in the first one was her son John Connor, but it's not. It's like this other guy.
Yeah.
That John Connor like gives him a picture of his mom, and he like falls in love with her in the future, just like through the picture. And then when he comes back in time, he becomes his father, which was an interesting twist. And the moments with part of this was spurred on because the Terminator was just announced as a DLC for MK11, Mortal Kombat 11.
He looks awesome.
He looks great. He's kind of an older Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, he's supposed
more
to
like Terminator Genesis.
And the new one, too, whatever it's going to be called. I was actually going to mention, I kind of stopped liking those movies after, I don't know, like 4 or whatever.
I don't think I've even seen it. I've heard bad things. I've stayed away, but I've seen 1 and 2, and those are.
The reason why they're so bad is because the whole point of the first one and the second one is that fate's escapable. And, that's the whole point. It's like John Connor knew that he needs to be born for anything to happen, so he sends his father back, like gives him the photo of his mom. In Terminator 2, it's like, they find the piece of the first Terminator that sparks them to create the cybernet to create more Terminators.
Do they just? They just keep doing it, right? They just keep sending people back in time, right? Is that what is happening? I feel like that'd be
at Salvation, it's just set in the future, which Salvation's good.
But I feel like once the time travel thing happens, that would be such a weird reality. Can you imagine? Like, it'd be shifting all the time, right? Like, according to that logic.
No, because the logic is that fate's escapable, so the time travel's part of the logic of the world.
Or they've just always been in the very last reality, I guess. Like, because, if they keep sending people back, then things are going to keep changing. You're just in this, infinite change.
But things don't change. That's the whole point, is that there is fate. That's the whole point of the movie, is that you go back and nothing changes because everything happens for a reason. That's the whole point of the first couple Terminator movies.
It's all happened.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Yeah, the whole time travel is part of history.
Yeah, you're time traveling because you time traveled and you will time travel and you were gonna time travel because you have to time travel for this to have happened.
Yeah. It's one of the many paradox theories about time travel. I forgot the name of it, but it's an interesting theory. Bill Paxton's in Terminator 1. Yeah. And he pulls up a knife.
Also a Mortal Kombat connection. One of those street thug guys that he I think he punches through is the actor who plays Shao Kahn.
Yeah.
In the old Mortal Kombat movie, which I do love. Those Mortal Kombat
I bet
movies.
You anything.
They're
gonna add dialogue between the two in the game.
Oh god, they better. Yeah, because they do so many movie references.
Thought I fought someone like you at a phone booth once.
Yeah. I'm gonna punch your guts out, because that's what he does. I don't know, something
Yeah.
fun and cheeky. Or I would love a Shao Kahn skin that looks like that actor, which would be great.
Or just have Shao Kahn be like nice jacket or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, Terminator comes up and he's like, "Take off your clothes."
Take off your clothes.
Yeah.
Yes. Amazing. Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Cool. Send that to Ed Boon for me.
Yeah.
At Ed Boon, have Terminator say, "Take off your clothes" to Shao Kahn, because we'll get it. It's from the first Terminator.
Yeah. They probably already knew, dude.
They've got to be on it.
Yeah.
They're smarter than us.
The whole reason why they added Terminator, because they're like, wait, we can do this one line.
Yeah, they only were able to get the rights because he showed up in the movie with Shao Kahn.
Yeah, there's like some weird clause where it's like if you could like third degree relate these characters, we can give you the rights to them in the game.
I've been playing some Nintendo Switch in the kickstand mode, which I love. It just I have it under my main TV, so I kind of put on something long form podcast here, like a Let's Play or whatever, and then I'm just kind of playing my Switch right in front of it. And something about it just feels fun. I love just having it be its own thing. It's just this mini console, a little gadget kind of thing. There's something fun about it.
If only you can charge it from the kickstand mode.
True. Yeah. I think you can get. Well, does it plug in at the bottom? Is that the problem?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
A lot of people build custom kickstands or like things that you have with the guards where it like has accessibility that warps around to the back.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have one of those little extendo grip things that clips into it, and it has extra more controller like grips on the side. I get those for all my handhelds. I got one for my 2DS because that thing's flat, it's hard to handle. My PS Vita, I got one of those type of things. Maybe not my PSP actually. But
yeah, I think there's even subreddits where people like
probably
submit 3D model plans of just like simple Switch 3D model case prints that make charging from the back better, or other small things.
Yeah. I always like add-ons, little things for handhelds. Like, I had a Game Boy Color, and I got one of those little lights because it didn't have a backlight yet, so it looked like a green slime, and it was this little, you'd plug it into the Game Boy Color, and it would have a light pointing at the screen so you could see better at night. And I got the e-reader where you could get like Pokemon cards and stuff that would have the little, not a barcode, but it looked like salt and pepper, like fuzz, like little digital whatever that you would scan. You just like swipe the card and you'd get to do Pokemon stuff in it. You would buy like the first, or Donkey Kong Jr. I had. You could play Donkey Kong Jr. by swiping like 15 or 30 cards or whatever it was. You just get like a pack of cards, and that was the game. And each little barcode or whatever it was had like a chunk of the game in it. And so you just swipe all of these cards, and then it would have whatever that game was. And there was some tie-ins for some of the Pokemon games at the time. Like, you get some extra content by getting the Pokemon cards that would have these codes where you could do whatever it was. It was really interesting. Like, I always love those kind of things. I remember begging my mom to get me a Scanners toy at, I think it was like Toys R Us or whatever. Do you remember the commercials for those where you would, it was like the creatures living in barcodes, and you would take the thing and you'd scan it, and you'd get
when I was a
monster
kid,
on the little like crappy Tamagotchi screen.
When I was like, I think like 8 years old on Christmas, my parents or Santa got me these like 2 robots. They were like, I don't know, like maybe like 8 inches tall, and they were like these plastic rock'em sock'em robot looking things, but like they had different sets of arms and stuff, and they were on 4 wheels. So they were like little RC car robots, kind of like in that show Robot Wars. And you would scan their card, and that would activate them to fight on their own, and they had their own AI and different stats. And then I took...
Oh, God. That's ringing like a deep... That's like a bell ringing in my, like, brain stem.
90s AF toy. Like, late 90s. And so I had one of those, and I immediately brought it to class, like, you know, January 2nd, the first day back from school since Christmas vacation. And I was like, let's use this thing. And, like, never worked.
You know what happened with my scanners thing was, and it never worked for me, was because it came with a couple little barcodes attached to it on like a little chain or whatever. And I must have lost her at like, maybe I didn't like look at the manual first, but I like removed it or threw it away. Because there's just little like tags with barcodes on them. So you think it's like packaging, it's whatever. But of course the whole thing is it scans barcodes. So those barcodes were for healing your guys. That was how you would like take them to the doctor, whatever, the pokey center, and and like that's how you heal them. And I think I threw it away or whatever, so I could never heal my guys, so I couldn't play the thing. Pretty much, it was a total waste. It sucked.
That does sound like it.
I was so excited to scan all my cereal boxes and fight like knockoff Pokemon.
The only electronic Pokemon game that I had that wasn't like on a Nintendo console or anything or handheld was I forgot the name of it now, but it was like a Tamagotchi, but it was a Pikachu. It was like a little pocket Pikachu.
Yeah. Did they do a Pikachu Tamagotchi, or was it like just a Nintendo
It was its
brand
own thing. It looked like a little Pikachu
But-
almost, but it had a screen where its face would be.
Yeah.
And like was really bad at understanding how it worked, and my Pikachu got really sick and was not liking me. But then I found out I like cheated it once, and I put it up against like my fan without the blades, and it just like instantly charged everything to be like Pikachu super happy forever, like infinite happiness.
Wow.
Yeah.
You hacked your Pikachu?
Yeah.
You hacked your digital pet to make it
I
be
like
happy?
tinkering with things.
I mean, I guess that's a viable strategy if it's a digital pet, and you just its meters need to be at happy full.
Yeah,
and if you
like,
hack it, like that counts as good.
I never even saw it as a digital pet. I just saw it as a digital device.
Yeah. But I love I love AR stuff, altered reality things, and VR too. But I like things that kind of bridge the gap between reality and games. Like I like the idea of Pokemon Go and those kind of things where it gives things in the real world kind of an extra meaning or kind of another layer. Like, oh, it's not just this statue, it's also a Pokestop, it's also a gym or whatever, where you kind of get to...
I just didn't like how grindy Pokemon Go was.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying, like, I stopped playing Pokemon Go because it gets really boring after a while, because it is pretty
Catch
grindy,
another Rattata 17.
And there's very little, like, game to it, really. Like, it's throw the Pokeball.
Yeah, it's just catch Pokemon. Like, that's all it is just catch... Yeah, take a walk and catch Pokemon.
And they're, like... There is the gym fights, but they're so simplified.
Are there battles in it yet?
There is like a battle
like,
system.
can I like run into a random dude and like have a Pokemon battle with him?
That I don't think so.
That's all the game needs.
Yeah, that would be because it would turn this into a Pokemon.
Just
world.
make sure it like lets all the kids
into
know. Yeah.
Kanto
just make sure it like lets the kids know like, don't stand on the road and do this, kids. Don't stand in line at a Quickie Mart or whatever.
As far as I understand, the battles are just through like the gyms.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. That's how it was anyway when I was playing. Which was a
there's
little while ago now.
I heard there's like raids or something now.
Well, that's in the new Pokemon, right? Well, maybe also Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I heard in Pokemon Go they have like raids now. You get like a bunch of people together. I think it's just for the gyms though. Like you raid gym leaders that are like super strong or something like that.
Sure. Yeah, I don't speak. Just also on the topic of the raids in Sword and Shield, I'm not in love with the way the giant Pokemon look.
I'm not really okay with like
what's it called again? That ability, like Mega
Dynamax.
Dynamax, yeah. They look like friggin' a balloon that floats. They look like parade floats, and they stop looking like.
Yeah, Pokemon. I really wish Pokemon, instead of like just always doing a gimmick every single one. Like, I don't need a gimmick. I just want, like, a Pokemon game with, like, a really good story mode, a really cool villain, and some really fun-looking Pokemon. That's, like, all I care about.
And it's going to be, like, the first
but we haven't got
competent,
that for, like, ever.
full, like, console Pokemon game, really. I mean, the GameCube one wasn't, like... I don't know. I didn't actually play it, but I feel like it would have... I would have heard about it more if it nailed it. Right?
The thing that bothers me the most is, like, since, like, Diamond and Pearl, all of the rivals have just been your character's, like, best friend or neighbor.
Oh, yeah, like your sweet little innocent buddy.
Yeah, they're not a threat. They're just kind of help, like, doing stuff with you, and it doesn't ever feel like there's any threat. Even, like, the alternate Team Rockets and all the games are, like, lame. Like, a lot of them are pretty lame, and they don't, like, ever since third gen villain was decent.
I feel like
second
Pokemon,
gen is the best one.
Maybe let's save that as a
Pokemon
for another
we
time.
can talk about Pokemon for probably like 3 podcasts.
Yeah, I think we've got some long sordid history with the hundreds of pocket monsters out there. So that'd be that's a good idea. We should definitely do a little Pokecast at some point, talk about our stuff there. But yeah. Shit, I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like I want to finish I had a little snack for the smoke break, a little apple fritter, my favorite donut.
A little app frit.
And I didn't finish it. So I kind of want to do that now, guys.
Yeah, I want to drink some water because my throat really hurts.
Yeah, Ian's feeling a little under the weather. That's why we hadn't recorded for a couple days. This will probably come out a little later than it'll be a bigger gap between 2 and 3 than 1 and 2. But since we're just starting, we don't have a backlog yet. But we're getting there. We're gonna be a little more regular after a little bit once we find our footing. But thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, man.
Happy to have you. This was I was John.
I was Ian.
And this was Hot Tokes, episode 3.
Have a good night.
See you soon. Bye. Bye. Love you.
Bye.